think compulsively all the time. That is to say, we talk to ourselves. If I talk all the time, I don't hear what anyone else has to say. If I think all the time, that is to say, if I talk to myself all the time, I don't have anything to think about except thoughts. And therefore, I'm living entirely in the world of symbols. Therefore, if you meditate for an ulterior motive, that is to say, to improve your mind, to improve your character, to be more efficient in life, you've got your eye on the future and you are not meditating. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. The place where it's at is simply here and now. If you simply close your eyes and allow yourself to hear all the sounds that are going on around you, just listen to the general hum and buzz of the world as if you were listening to music. Don't try to identify the sounds you're hearing. Don't put names on them. Simply allow them to play with your eardrums. It's all just sound. And if I am talking to you right now and you're doing this, don't try to make any sense out of what I'm saying, because your brain will take care of that automatically. You don't have to try to understand anything. As you hear sounds coming up in your head, thoughts, you simply listen to them as part of the general noise going on, just as you would be listening to the sound of my voice, or just as you would be listening to cars going by or to birds chattering outside the window. So look at your own thoughts as just noises. And soon you will find that the so-called outside world and the so-called inside world come together. They are a happening. Your thoughts are a happening, just like the sounds going on outside. And everything is simply a happening, and all you're doing is watching it. It's all just sound. The place where it's at is simply here and now.
What is up, guys? 1 second here. Why is my video not working? Give me 1 second. Oh, shoot. Give me just 1 more second here. I just want to make sure. Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so we got this going. Welcome back, guys. Hope you guys are doing exceptionally well today. And what's up, Burtonstone? What's up, Eric? Appreciate you guys. Always appreciate everybody smashing the like button and all that. Anyway, so come down a little bit. You know, the latest kind of trades that I'll, you know, without your oh, okay, I got logged out. Great. You know, that area kind of hedging the bet a little bit, and you know, hoping just 1 out of 2 trades will win, so you could, you know, make a nice little, you know, profit there. And yeah, this got logged out pretty damn often. It happens though, whatever. All right, so I'll probably log in there. I'll have to mute the screen while I do that. But yeah, ultimately, if we look at this, so we've come down, you know, a little bit here, continuation. You know, I think the big question is, do these trigger waves bring you down farther to lower lows, or do we hit, you know, 79, recover from there? Tough to say. You know, if you're going by the daily, you're probably bottomed out. If you're going by, you know, some of these other ones, there's a good case to be made for bottoming out. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. You know, we don't know. But the thing is, based on kind of the title of this live stream, ultimately, if you have, you know, a good technique, and I kind of outlined that in the Discord with the 2 trades I'm in right now, you know, you only need to win less than half of your trades, really, with the 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio to be profitable. The goal would be to win half of them, at least half of them. And, you know, you can make money over time. And that's what I'm kind of looking at here in terms of what this market's doing. So ultimately trying to short down to, you know, 75, 72, well, little hint, could be better to try to short Ethereum because it keeps bleeding against Bitcoin generally. Let's take a look at what's happening now. I mean, not doing anything. Maybe trying to jump up a little bit, but it generally just bleeds throughout now. And I think that you'll see more of a convincing bottom. When will we see more of a convincing bottom? I mean, you know, you got the 2-week. I mean, maybe once that money flow starts coming up. Same deal with the monthly green dot or the 3-week. If we look at the monthly, you saw that bull div there. And then since then, June of 24, you know, you just bled another 60% against Bitcoin. So you've done, you know, terrible against Bitcoin, obviously, which kind of probably disappointed a lot of people, including myself. But on the bright side, you're getting to that area, so maybe a little bit lower. You know, I would imagine it would bleed a little bit more against Bitcoin if we do, you know, drop down to 1600. But the other thing that's interesting, like I was talking about in the video yesterday, guys, is that, you know, this pattern, unless this breaks, you know, that month after, you probably bottomed out against Bitcoin and others. So we'll see what happens. You know, I'm curious because markets have come down. I just want to look at traditional markets quickly here. I don't know if they've made lower lows. Oh, yes, they have. Okay. Slightly, you know, slightly making lower lows, now getting a little bit of, yeah, trying to bottom out or something here, but still doesn't look extremely convincing. Maybe it drops it farther. So if we do keep going farther down, the odds of ending quantitative tightening, a rate cut, you know, probably not going to see a rate cut in 5 days, but, you know, maybe in May go up significantly. What month can Bitcoin go down to 71K? Probably this month if it does happen. Pointing to the Bitcoin top, alts haven't topped yet. I feel like we'll get a dead cat bounce on Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, where does the dead cat bounce happen? Did we already see? Was this a little dead cat bounce and we roll over? I mean, yeah, I think for a dead cat bounce, you'd have to come up back to 92, at least 90, I would say. But as of right now, we're coming down. And if you look at, I don't even care about Tesla right now, but if you look at yields here, I think they're coming down slightly. They're still up from where they were on March 3rd, but they're coming down slightly, which I guess would bring the odds a little bit higher of a, you know, on the 10-year of a rate cut coming. And I want to quickly look at the Fed watch tool here. So I just want to see what the odds are. So obviously March, 97%, 84% of a pause in May. That was more debatable, and now 80. So markets are really, the bettors are really thinking June is going to be where you finally see another cut. What are they thinking for July? Let's see. Okay, so they're thinking a pause in July, and they're thinking another cut in September. So in all likelihood, yeah, you would see, you know, interest rates at 50-50 for October. So it's still, let's see, 1, 2, yeah, it's still about 3 cuts, I think, would be, you know, for this year. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 cuts for this year is what many are expecting. And you would obviously see an end to quantitative tightening by, I mean, probably June, I would think. It could be earlier, though. I think these numbers could change just a teeny weeny bit if things go down a little bit farther, which they are. S&P 500, let's see if you can hold that area. It looks like you may dump a little bit more. Now, where do we want the S&P? Let's just look at, you know, 11% down. Let's look at previous kind of corrections. So this is the worst one we've seen since probably, okay, 11% was 23. Okay, we're not even there yet. So I would guess, you know, you come down to 11%, that, you know, it brings some more fear. So just want to see this. What was yeah, that was 22. Okay, so worst correction since 23. So unless you think, I mean, I consider that to be a mild recession in 2022, unless you think, that it's going to be more like 2022 mild recession, we should bottom, 540 or something, I mean, 519. Let's see. If you were to come down to 519, what would that be? 15? Okay, it's still possible, but yeah, I would think you would see some type of bottom this month, within a week to 2 weeks. And I mean, I think that would kind of correspond with maybe a 72K Bitcoin, which is the big number that a lot of us really have been waiting for. That's the true 30% plus discount on Bitcoin, 33% down. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you're looking at potentially, that 33% down there. And if you do drop down, it's an if. It's an if right there. It looks, on some of these money flows, it does look, in the middle to higher time frames, does look like you'd come down more. Lower time frames would be a bit more bullish. We'll see what happens if you react to 79K here. So yeah. If the Fed announces the end of QT, BAP or Nasir, probably won't happen in 5 days, but when they do announce, that would likely mark the end of ETH bleeding against Bitcoin, and it would mark probably the end of all its bleeding against Bitcoin as well. And things could still go down after that, but most likely they would, outperform Bitcoin in all likelihood. Anything could happen, obviously, but so let's see here. What's up, James? Or what's up, everybody? We appreciate you guys. Let me just log into. I just want to show you the trade because it said in the video that I would show you it. Let me just log into my BYDFI here. I got logged out somehow, but I just want to log in. It happens. Okay. Okay, I gotta check that too. Yeah. Second here. Oh, wrong account. Let's see. There we go. 9. Okay. So let me just get this up quickly here. And so I don't want you guys to see the stop losses or any of that. I just want to show you I'll show you the trade sizes. So I'm not telling you I'm not going to tell you what, how much I'm risking or what percentage of the account or it's a stop loss or take profit. But ultimately, if you got a good long strategy here, long and short at the same time, one of them should win most likely. It's pretty rare both of them get stopped out, but it does happen. But in all likelihood, you got a good shot of doing well here. And it's been a pretty proven strategy that a lot of people have used. Shout out to Jason Casper, who I kind of found out from, and a lot of other people, and some other people too. But yeah, I think Jason Casper was probably the first person that kind of introduced this long. But yeah, maybe a jump even here. Maybe that's where we jump. We'll see. A little tough to say at the moment. I mean, I do like the daily. Any anchor wave on the daily or money flow is not perfect, but any anchor wave on the daily for ETH could have some potential, I'll say. So yeah. I would think the possibility of a bull run happening in the second half of this year is probably 70 to 80%. I would say, well, it depends what you qualify as a bull run. I mean, do you qualify, was this still in a bull run here when you came down to, you came down at 30%. Does that still qualify as a bull run, or did you lose it there, 31? This correction still hasn't been as bad. It seems like everybody loses their mind every time we come down 30% or even close to it nowadays. and then hopefully you could kind of recover here. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get overly pessimistic unless you lose like that low 70s, really 70K. As I've been mentioning, I wanted to also look quickly at coin fear and greed. That's what I wanted to look at here, and the reason I wanted to look at it was because yeah, that's kind of okay. So getting a little bit more greed. Maybe we need to come down a little bit more, get more fear. It's different. You look at different ones. It is a little bit different. This, I don't know. It's kind of in between both of those. I would say in between 20, 30 is probably where you're looking at. So it would kind of equate to a drop down a little bit farther to get people more scared. I think, people are on thin ice right now. So yeah. We're in the bull run halfway. I think for Bitcoin, if you think we could get up to 160, you're just about halfway, I would argue. In terms of a 2-year cycle of general upwardness starting in the beginning of 2023, ending in probably the beginning of 26, late 25, then yeah, you're about a tiny bit over halfway. For altcoins, you haven't really started because those have been decimated. But then again, Solana is not terrible. 60% down is a lot, but you're at the same price you were last August. Do we lose that? You might, you might come back to test that 109. You may lose it. I don't think you'd go much below that. So yeah. And if we look at, I'm just curious here, like something like, no, I don't want to look at. It was Cardano I wanted to look at. And yeah. Rejecting there. I don't know. Maybe back down to 64. It does look a little bit trickier today. Does look a little bit more bearish today. I would argue that that's whatever time frame on 8 hour would signify, combined with the damn probably blood diamond right here, signify coming back down a little bit more farther. I guess you could argue this could be really catastrophic, that blood diamond right there, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's the only coin that has that. 8 coin, maybe we'll hold on to 48. We'll see. And I just want to see if anything's made. Everything's still probably above its. Excuse me. Excuse me. Everything's probably above its. Low from a few days ago or whatever. Slightly. Trying to make higher lows there, so there's possibilities. Also that level to test right there. So yeah, and I wanted to look at. So let's just look at like CNBC because that's going to kind of tell us, Oops. No, region. Yeah, U.S. market. Nasdaq's down significantly. Yeah, about 1%. So I think this is generally good about Putin. Halt dismantling of education department. Yeah, that's a lot of education. A lot of weird money spent in weird ways with that, I'll tell you. Good and bad with that, obviously. Because I remember when I grew up, I went to this public school for a while. Especially like in the middle school years, like 7th, 8th grade, that was, especially during the Great Recession, like that was a whammy, and it was a rougher city. Not the roughest city, but for Connecticut standards, like it was pretty bad in that time period. At least for me, anyway. It was most people. They have the common consensus. It was a rough time, and. Yeah, obviously less money goes to the kind of the poorer, less areas that people want to live in. So it was rough, but you got through it, But you kind of wonder too. You hear about people like, I was listening to Naval Ravikant on Tim Ferriss's podcast pretty recently, talking about homeschooling children, or how his kids don't even go to school. And I think it's, the big thing there is like, or not educating them at all, and they kind of learn on their own. And generally, the studies show, I think, for that if they wanted to go to college, if they wanted to do these other things, they're only really 1 year behind everybody else who went through the, I don't know, what, 15 years. How many years is it before you graduate? You start kindergarten when you're 5 years old. You graduate when you're 13 years of traditional schooling, and they're only they receive no education, only 1 year behind. I think it depends. If you got wealthy, well, let's say middle class at least, somewhat educated parents, I think that's true. But then when you look at the inner cities and all that, maybe the school helps them at least a little bit. But a lot of those kids don't really apply themselves that much. Some of them do a little bit. It depends. But yeah, kind of glad I don't have to deal with that. That's one of the things, you think about it. And that was, kind of glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. But yeah, you kind of look at where you came from. Now I'm in, South America. It's such a, your life can change a lot in not that long of a period of time. Although that was, it was probably 13, 14, 15 years ago. But yeah. So let's see. Can you see the price of Chainlink going down to $8? Probably. Well, let's see. It's possible, man. It's hard to say. That would be the August low. It's not that far off. You're trying to make a higher low versus Head and Shoulders, but it can. I don't know. Tough. It's a tough question. It's really, real tough. But as traders, we don't really need to know exactly what's going to happen. But I think the odds are good that you're trying to bottom out, or at least close to it. I think we'll hit a lot of bottoms this month, hopefully. But yeah. Stock market performance. I would say 70 to 80% of the time the stock market performance affects crypto performance. Probably 80%, I would say. At least right now. You could even argue stock market performance affects gold performance like at least half the time, or not more. So everything is kind of correlated to the S&P 500 to a certain extent, I would say. Or the NASDAQ, at least, NASDAQ also. Obviously a lot of the stocks in NASDAQ and SPY overlap too, so, yeah. But as we look at this, are we making, we're kind of rejecting from that point right now. So that's the question, do you continue downward? Well, I would say the main kind of, for a long here, I guess you'd try to, if you did something like that, that's probably more than you need. You probably would want to, something like that, I would say. That kind of area. Trying to break it back above. And then for a short, you'd want to, what we're at 552. You'd probably nullify this a bit above that area. And then, something like that. Maybe, I feel like, maybe down to 545 or close to that level. 2 to 1 and 2 to 1. I would assume one of those would probably win. So yeah. Okay, so you don't like the hourly money flow in Bitcoin? I don't need. Well, no, that's not too bad. Anchor wave right there. It's not the strongest thing, but I don't think it's the worst thing. I feel like you nullify a lot of these trigger waves. You come back to 84. You know what I mean? If you come back to that point, you nullify a lot more of the bearish stuff, I would argue. I want to look at the TLT. Getting a little jump there, and I think this will probably should continue to jump, I would argue. Top market. I don't really understand that last comment, James. in the morning before stock market open, if it opens in a red wall. You're talking about tomorrow morning? Yeah, there's usually movement. I don't know if we'll see. I mean, I think weird yellow X's here in that 4 hour. Maybe a drop down to 17, double bottom, and then you jump. Or that 16. I kind of want 16 right now just to really, really show it to be like, yeah, like we got there, you know what I mean? Like 15, 16 is like big on a lot of logarithmic bands and stuff. That's huge. And then the real like rock bottom possible lows, I guess 1200. What correction would that be from this high right here if you were to come down to 1200? Yeah, 70%. What was COVID? What was pandemic for Ethereum? That was about 70. So if we're looking at, that'd be very freaking interesting. If we're looking at a 66 or something, well, you already came down to freaking 66. Yeah, I don't know. I don't imagine you'd lose 1600, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought Germany was already in a recession. Maybe they're out of it. Nasdaq down 300. I want to just keep looking at the Nasdaq here because that's triple Q, because that's like getting a little bit distract. Yeah, well, yeah, reject just like S&P 500. We're not seeing it yet, but we're almost there. Now, what I want to look at here, top secret information, guys. NASDAQ versus the Dixie, because it ain't as bad against the Dixie, which what does that mean? That means deflation. That means what we want to see. 11% versus 13. We haven't seen that in a while, I'll tell you that much. What was this correction right here? That was 13%. And where was this? This was July of 24. And then we're looking at July of 23, which is interesting. Both Julys. That was 16. So if you were to come down 14 to 50, yeah, I mean, you would be at these peaks, March 24. Let's look at those peaks. Look at the peaks. March 24 peaks. Where's our March 24 peaks? There we go. So yeah, can this go down to like 450? Yeah. Would that be peak fear? Probably. Which I kind of want it to go. I mean, I'll be real with you. I kind of want us to go down farther. Yeah. Jesse Jacks, what's up? Jesus the way. Yeah. Go into more detail about, everybody's got a different way to, their views of Jesus and all that. I'd be curious if you wanted to share a little bit more, what you do, how it's helped you and all that. That'd be cool. Let's see. XRP and SUI. What do I trade Forex? No, not very often. I've done it in the past, but no. But we do. If you're interested in Forex, we got K-Mac in the Discord. Does a lot of Forex stuff and is pretty successful at it. So check it out if you guys are interested. Let's see. XRP versus SUI. Is that? Well, I mean. Yeah, maybe down a bit more there. I'm on the wrong chart, I think. Yeah. That a little bit farther, that $2, then maybe a little bit more. So, yeah. But I do think, like, we get the QQQ to go down to, like, these peaks right there. That's big. Now, how much farther, how much more pain is that? Like 3%, probably less in terms of buying power. We're seeing deflation a little bit. 3% there, which is cool. So, and then I think that's when, how does Powell, like let's say NASDAQ goes down a total in USD value 16%. Is that enough for the Lion 2.0 to stop quantitative tightening? Maybe. When does that happen? Hopefully sooner than later. We don't want to wait. Nobody wants to wait for anything in life, but hopefully hopefully before the next FOMC meeting, so we could get that money printed. So yeah. Nice, Jesse Jacks. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate you. So, getting your ass, it's been tricky, but let's see. Best way to learn crypto trading, how long to make consistent profits? It depends. It's different for everybody, man. Yeah, that's kind of, watch a lot of good traders. Watch me, watch CryptoFace, watch Jason Casper. If you want, I do have a trading course that I think is really good. If I do say so myself. I would say, a lot of what I teach, you can learn, over what I do in the videos. It'll just take longer. It's more about convenience there. But risk management, you can play around with demo accounts. Oh yeah, there's those those accounts sometimes. Oh, what exchange? Oh yeah, okay. So what I would say a cheap way to kind of learn, this is after some strategies you want to try out at least in risk management. After you know that, I would say Breakout. The link is down below, and you could buy a demo. It's not a demo account. It's a prop firm. If you can get 5 or 10% before you lose 5%, they give you an account to trade with, and ultimately, yeah, you could trade with that account. I think you could do a 10K account for not too much money. So I think that's a good try, and you can kind of learn about it there. I think that's a good option, especially for somebody starting out, especially if you don't have much capital either. So I would try that. Link down below if you're interested. Maybe after you learn some basic stuff, though, and then you can see there. Nas, I could look at that. Nose. I don't know much about that, man. I mean, that's not... Who's been talking about? I'm just curious. Who's been talking? Has anyone been talking about it? It's hard to say with this. It's hitting a big point, but it still doesn't look as good as I'd want it to look. Maybe let's wait for that weekly bull div. Maybe if it wouldn't even be 2-week trigger. I don't know. It's very tough to say on that. Really good with it. Oh, okay. Appreciate you, Jesse Jacks. Yeah, I was trying to help people out. Yeah, I was trying to do what I can. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you enjoy the content, if you want to trade, check out the links down below for the exchanges. 10% off your fees for life on BYDFI. Down below, in addition, there's a 15% bonus on your first deposit. And then with BloFin, same thing. I don't think there's a 15% deposit bonus, but 10% off your fees for life. No KYC, no VPN. Check out both of those. I'll give you 1 free month in the Aldo Empire VIP Discord. If you guys sign up to either of those, deposit at least $100 and open a support ticket with your UID in the Discord. What's a good amount to start trading with money-wise? I would say if you're somewhere where... it depends where you are, what your buying power is in the country you're in. I would say somewhere like the U.S., Western Europe, more expensive countries, 50 grand to 100 grand. Because then if you can get 10% a month, that's 5 grand a month. It's substantial. A good trader usually could do a bit more than that, but it's a good starting place. If you're in somewhere where the cost of living is 1/3 of what it would be in America, I mean, so divide that by 3, 20 grand, 15 grand, you could do it with less. Just for somebody practicing on a prop firm, you could get a 10K account and try to make $1 grand a month with it, $2 grand a month with it. You could do that too. There's no exact right or wrong answer, but for substantial gains in an expensive country, 50 to 100 grand typically would be the answer. But I'm not saying put that amount of money into a trading account, without knowing what the hell you're doing. Maybe try to get a prop trading for Breakout, which I think is the best place to do it. They don't pay me much. I don't make much off of Breakout if you sign up to that, believe me. You know, I found out through her crypto phase, I've done well with it. So yeah. You know, let's see, Accurate Components Corporation, what's going on? Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. So if we look at this, has gotten obliterated. Matic. Ugh. Yeah, just absolutely obliterated that 20-cent mark. Let's see if we could hold that. Anybody still optimistic on this? Damn. I didn't think it would get that freaking destroyed. Yeah, at this point, it's like your Matic's not worth shit. You know, just might as well just hold it and see what happens. So yeah. Dixie, that's been coming up slightly, which is, yeah, we're definitely seeing some deflation. Well, not necessarily deflation, but you know what I mean. But we have been seeing deflation. You know, how much does this come up right now? I don't know. It probably comes up until Powell speaks in 5 days, at least, I would argue, depending on what the hell he says. You know, I think the main goal here is to potentially dump the markets a little bit more. What Trump wants, you know, maybe down to 450 for the NASDAQ, triple Q right here, and then a nice recovery into summer. Since when have I been in the game? Since 2020, pretty seriously. Unseriously since like 2016, 2015. Really, yeah, 2015. What's a realistic net worth of top 1% trader? You mean top 1% of the ones that are profitable, or top 1% of, you know, them in general? Realistic net worth, I mean, it depends, you know. I could tell you realistic, like if you have a, you know, 100K account, let's say you have a 100K account, you can make between 10 to 20 grand a month, maybe more depending. So, you know, 2 to 300K a year. For a real, I mean, you do get some diminished returns because you got to pay to market in once you get really big accounts, like $1 million accounts. So, you know, I mean, the ceiling, I would say you do get diminished returns. It would be hard to make more. Well, there's people that have done it, so I would say your ceiling is probably $1 million a month, the absolute max. Probably less than that. Probably a couple $100 grand a month would be the absolute ceiling. There's people that will tell you they've done more than that, and they probably have. But you know, there's a lot of people fighting against you once you get to that level. But yeah, that's a good question though. I mean, you know, there's definitely people who make millions of dollars a year doing it, but it's not. That's probably less than 1%, I would say. You know, and they're probably doing, you know, I don't know. Is it a good time to buy Tesla? I think so. I think it'll probably I think it'll be higher than it is right now at the end of the year. Polkadot price, yeah. You would kind of hope that 2 weeks saves the day here. This could hold up better than some may think. It's just no one's even trading it at all. Interesting. In Buenos Aires, okay. Some news. But yeah. I think we're going down some more, right? Yeah. I mean, I kind of do I just want the market to reset more. So I would kind of want us to go down to that 72. You know what I mean? That full like 30% down or 32% down. That's what I want to see. And then hopefully, you know, recover from there, you know. And then ETH, I mean, maybe 16, you know. That's what I want to see. Even if I'm not buying the dips, you know what I mean? I still just want to see a clean market, you know, reset, peak fear, all that. And then at those points too, there's going to be a lot of liquidity. That's just going to, a lot of, you know, short squeezes on the way up to mid 90s, 100K back up there, which hopefully we would see. But yeah, Nasdaq's still coming down here. How AI changes trading game. I mean, it already has to a certain extent. People using AI stuff. There's been, I'm not an expert on the ACE, but there's been, people doing that and getting extreme results. But then again, you're fighting against other AIs and stuff. I don't think AI is to the point where it's really mastered trading. You could use it to help you set up bots and stuff, but it's not, it's kind of like been a gradual increase with the bot stuff. I'm trying to think like how maybe the first people that were doing it had some advantage, but at this point it's not that. There's a lot of people that'll try to sell you their AI bot or something, but yeah, I mean, we're not to the point where you're just going to turn that crap on and put 100K and make 10K a month. It's not really as much as I wish it would be. What month this year is the best buy altcoins? I don't know. I would look at April 1st maybe and see how the market looks then. I would look at whenever Powell stops quantitative tightening. So yeah. Right to that point. I mean, are yields dropping with this? I think they are, right? Yeah. And I think they should continue to do so. Oh, what did I do here? Come on. What? Oh, it's way up there. Yeah, I mean, I think that'll keep going down, especially with that 3-week too. So far, it's gone down with crypto, kinda, sorta. Similar to back here, right? Or no, similar to here. So we'll see. I mean, Trump wants to get these rates down. The view is that, if you can dump the market, probably, really rip the Band-Aid off quick, get us down to like 450, probably helps Trump's legacy too. And then you could recover. Is Bitcoin at 72K enough? Probably. Do we need to go to 60K? I don't know. Probably not. And gold's still doing pretty well here. Your recession fears will keep bringing this up. You're probably on your way to, yeah, I mean, you probably keep going generally. I would think it's slow. Peter Schiff. So yeah, I wanted to look at polymarket odds for markets. %40 chance of recession in 25. That would be debated too if, like, some say it's a recession, some say it's not. Yeah, Fed decision. Okay, so essentially what we're thinking is 98% chance of nothing. And then May, which is interesting, no change. So I guess that could go more in the decrease category. I would think at the next meeting, if they do decrease, or when they do decrease, that'll be the end of quantitative tightening, I would think. So yeah. Never one way. Yeah, I mean, you could argue, yeah, that's kind of the thing where, like, no one really knows. So yeah, Jesus, take the wheel pattern. Double bottom, you're saying? I think I know what you mean. Yeah, the double bottom or whatever. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens at 79. We'll see that reaction or whatever. Just thinking here. Yeah. What's up? Can you share your TA here? No, no posting of links, but you can tell us what you think is going to happen. Spy Dixie. That was to, yeah, Spy Dixie is, yeah, because look at this. So we're still not even, it's 8%. It still wasn't even as bad as this December one, which is crazy. Yeah, you're really seeing some deflation here. So it's 7%. This was 8%. Usually 7 to 8% is the big area. That was 7. You know, I mean, that would tell us we're close, you know. If you're thinking 2023, that was a slow bleed for a few months. 15 is your worst correction since 22. If you're looking at 15, I'll take a little look-see here. That's 12 right there. 15 would bring you below even that point. So, yeah, I mean, it could be a little rough couple more weeks, I would think. So, yeah. Limit buys 1780. I don't really do that too much, but my cam is going in and out. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Oh well. Lighting ain't the best right now. Too bright outside, but excuse me. I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean, there's argument either way. Curious about housing markets, because if you're seeing deflation, then you would see these kind of coming down probably. But at least Miami's one is its own. Yeah, that's not really kind of on its own little trajectory or whatever. Monthly continuation there. I think this will generally slowly keep going. It's been kind of, you could argue Florida real estate's been kind of sideways overall for a while. So yeah. And let's see, so that was that one. I mean, oh yeah. M2 is interesting. Because when, you know, this keeps slowly going up, as you make a higher high here, it came down, you decrease the quantitative tightening, it officially may end April. This would say like May or probably April to June is when you make that higher peak based on what we're seeing there, and then you end quantitative tightening, and then we see in the second half of this year our actual kind of altcoin run. So yeah. QE would be good for crypto, not QT. Except for Bitcoin. We did okay in QT for Bitcoin. No, I'm using BidFi, and BidFi is really good. No KYC, no VPN. You get 10% off your fees for life if you sign up to BidFi with my link down below. Yeah, there's also a 15% cashback bonus on your first deposit. BloFin is the same with the 10% fees off for life. If you sign up to either of those exchange deposits, at least $100, I'll give you 1 free month in the Aldo Empire VIP Discord where I give all these trades, you know, with stop losses, take profits, all that ahead of time. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Not telling you where, you know, in the live streams, not telling you where I'm taking profits or where my stop loss is. Okay. How to use Market Cipher? Oh man. Well, I got a course that teaches you how to do it, but you know, if you just follow along with a lot of the updates to the videos, I think you can kind of learn it on your own over time. Probably take longer though. Possible month for QT to end. Okay. I like the you're learning. Well, like I mentioned probably quite a few times today already, I would think that it would be probably either May or June. I don't think it'll end in 5 days at the next FOMC meeting. That would be surprising. However, if we get a crazy sell-off real quick, that'd be the only thing that would potentially trigger it. Maybe you'd probably need your VIX to go up. That was a bottom there. Your VIX went nuts. First time since when? COVID, yeah. A lot of volatility right there. I would think this volatility would kind of continue, but we shall see. Now you're kind of just seeing the slow bleed. So yeah, appreciate you, Satoshi Nakamoto. Got Satoshi in the chat. So yeah. Always appreciate you guys smashing the like button too. Just thinking here, I mean, yeah, well, we'll see what happens with the trades and all that. I'm kind of leaning bearish back down to these areas, you know, maybe back down to 1600. Kind of thinking, I know somebody asked, well, can alts go down another 20%? Probably not ETH, but maybe 10% yes. For other alts, yeah, I mean, it's not impossible, you know. Down there, yeah. I'm trying to think what's the big boy stocks people like. I mean, Tesla we looked at. If you look at Apple, biggest correction we've seen since February of last year. Yeah, it's kind of your Fed. Yeah. I mean, it really depends. Do you think it's just going to be like last year, or do you think it's 17%? And then 19, yeah. Maybe 25. Maybe. Making lower lows. A lot of these markets are. But the thing is, you got the weekly red X. I mean, it's 22. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe $200 for Apple, back to 200, like a 20%er, 25%er. Looking at, okay, so you had, yeah, that was 2018 right there. 400% since then. This has been such a powerhouse, yeah. Aave, I gotta look at Aave. I don't think you would go down a 50% correction from where we are right now. I don't think you would go down that low, but it's possible. It'd be more likely 133 or something, you know, or even bouncing out right now. But it is looking like you're going to go down to 130, yeah, that area. I don't think you'd go to 80. You definitely could, though. Anything's possible if it follows what some other alts have done. This has held up pretty well so far. I wanted to also look at Helium. They partnered with T-Mobile, I think. That's gotten destroyed. Right there. Yeah, I'd mark out that area, maybe a slightly lower low. I mean, you're already down so much from that 24 high, 80%. So, yeah. V-Chain's another one that I think eventually could do something, you know. Trying to make a higher low here. Maybe it will, hopefully it will. Crypto.com. Yeah, it had a big jump up and then, yeah, not too much, but still. but still. So yeah. These almost tell me you're kind of bottoming out, which I guess it's possible they could have already, and then Bitcoin goes a little bit lower. It can happen. Alts could, hold up a little bit better against Bitcoin if we go to, and this is the time frame that I guess would tell you that we may go down a bit more, but I want to just look at here. Total 3 versus drop down. It's still held up pretty well. Could take time though to fall over. More potential in what they do with QT or QE. True wave right there. That was January 21 was the true bottom there. True bottom there was October 17, so a little bit. This is a weirder chart. I like the others versus Bitcoin better, but if you get that month thing, you still are below there. So I mean, you could argue that we have bottomed out. You can. And you've been kind of coming up, recently. So I think that would help altcoins a little bit. So yeah. Render, okay. Yeah, that one's not on. Okay, well, Coinbase it's on. Big area. If you like the AI coins, could be a pretty good dip buying place. You're down 80%. You were at 13, now you're at 2. That didn't do much since March of 24. Remember I was looking at this back here. We came up a lot, and then it didn't really do too much. That blood diamond helped you out. Usually when you get them on the monthly though, you're relatively close to the bottom. I think he would kind of try to hold, $2 or something at least. Is H-bar good to hodl? I mean, it depends, but yeah, I think H-bar will be higher than it is now at the end of the year, but I could be wrong. It's hard to say. There's a lot of alts out there, It does look a little scary in some of these high time frames. It came up a lot and then just fell off, so we'll see. But that's a big point right there. If you could hold 18, don't have a problem with this holding, where we are right now, 18, 19. Short term, it does look like things will come down a bit more, but you're kind of in that jumpy area, like nothing's happening, and you might not see too much happen until like market open tomorrow as well. So yeah. AI, yeah. AI is that. I mean, I feel like what we're seeing with AI right now, like people using ChatGPT, are kind of like people using the internet in the mid 90s, kind of that pattern. And then as you get into I think it'll be like as you get into the 2030s, especially like in America, Western Europe, Canada, Australia, as you get into that point, that's where it's going to be, probably all the Ubers you'll take will be driven by AI or whatever at some point in the 2030s. Similar to kind of how, well, I mean, when did, oh man, my older audience probably remember a little bit more, but like when, the Windows XP days were like early 2000s, which I would say that decade will kind of be like the 2030s with AI, where, because everything's kind of a different decade, I would say the 2000s, that was the decade of like Windows XP, desktop computers, laptops were getting pretty big, people using laptops in college, Facebook, the start of social media, I would argue. And then, and then the 2010s, the next decade, that was the iPhone. And then the decade after that, the 2020s would be more of AI, self-driving cars and stuff, but coming out, but people not really using it too much until, really getting good enough where everybody's freaking using it until the 2030s. But even then, like in the 2000s, like, people over the age of like, 50s weren't really, it was more of the young kind of crowd, obviously. So yeah. Is ETH holding up better than Bitcoin right now? That's interesting. Yeah, it is a little bit. Okay. Should have shorted ETH, should have shorted Bitcoin. Good sign for ETH right now. It's probably, you know, just the short term, but yeah. Thing too with the weekly here is that yeah, I mean, that was the bottom there. You came in terms of money flow, you're where you kind of need to be. You're close to it. Yeah. That drop, yeah. AVAX, best price to buy? I don't know. I'm not like a limit in type of guy, you know what I mean? Well, the best price to buy would be 1 cent, so you could write it up all the way. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I mean, if we lose kind of where, you know, I guess 13 could be a big place. Next place would be 13. After that, you would be looking at probably these lows, I guess, 10. Be 13, then 10. I don't think you'd go down to freaking $10 though, but maybe 13. You know, we'll see what happens here. Also, trigger wave in that 2 week probably will give you something at least, you know what I mean? We're back to 23 numbers here. Trying to think here. Each part, yeah. Well, I mean, let's see. You guys got any other questions? I think there's not too much else to really talk about at the moment. Been on about an hour, you know, trying to give the update and all that. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, I would say with the Dixie potentially coming up a little bit more, I think I would lean towards the more bear side, come down a bit more for both of these, you know, coins. Bitcoin and ETH, hopefully coming down a little bit more. That 72, which is big. Probably a big order block there. Let's look at crypto funding rates, and let's look at the heat map. So funding rates in between. And then Model 2, I think, is the best one to look at generally. And yeah, 79. Okay, so we got to zoom out a little bit here. Let's go on the 3-day at least. A lot of liquidity up there, so 84. You know, that's probably the point that you'd want to long to target, you know, the 84 right now. And then the thing is, though, if you really zoom out here, then you see the liquidity at that 71, 72, and you see the most at like, what's it? I mean, you could really freaking, yeah. The more you zoom out, the more it's more, because it's like old liquidity, you know what I mean? That's 71, so there's a lot right there. You could even go, just look at all these. I mean, according to this, there's more liquidity to the downside, 72 and then 64. I think that if you were to go down to, I don't think you'd, a lot of people think inception of the ETF is probably the bottom, but I would think they're probably right, unless you think things are going to get really bad. But if you look at the 6 month, like I would think you'd kind of scare away this liquidity here, like that low set 72, and then it would scare away this liquidity, and then you'd come back. But looking at his liquidity stuff is not, not the biggest thing, in my opinion, not the most important thing. So I mean, we looked at Sol. I don't, I think the big thing for a lot of these that I think, well, I mentioned it, but I think I mentioned it. Next trigger wave on the weekly for a lot of these, I think would be the place to really be looking to buy, and that you'll probably hit that within 2 weeks. That'll be kind of what we're looking at, and then you should be able to recover from there unless things get really ugly, which is what I would argue here, and I would argue they probably won't. Are there more tariff stuff? Like, what's going on here? Mm. Yeah, I think the lion is all talk here. I think he wants these markets to go down just to really clean out the inflation. That's what it seems like. It seems like he's trying to be Reagan-esque, which should work, actually. I mean, the thing that would probably give you about, yeah, the trigger wave on the NASDAQ, too. You'd probably see that for him by the end of the month. And I mean, I don't know. My guess right now is you put 450 maybe, you know, for that 15%er. And I think that may be enough to really, because I mean, you kind of have inflation low, but to keep it low and really like end this mess, that's probably where you'd have to go. But we keep going. I think market closes in what, 25 minutes right now. So yeah, just trying to think here. Retail investors come with it, yeah. I think I looked at Tesla, but I'll look at it again, I think. That would be interesting too, because where would that go if, and this one's a weird one too, because it like recovered, that may have hit the bottom while the NASDAQ hasn't, you know what I mean? That's kind of it. I would say 200 would be a really big point if you do lose where you are right now, but it's come down. That's on a weird freaking, that's in its own orbit kind of to a certain extent, you know? So yeah. And what was this? 70%, I think. 75, yeah. And you recovered so quick there. I mean, what do you, even if you, let's see, if you got in around there, I mean, yeah, okay, you're still up a good amount. Not like Bitcoin though, but yeah. $100 a month with 1K consistent. Yes, it is. Your fees may be a little weird with an account that small. Maybe not though, actually. I've never really heard of people doing stuff like that, Ace. You know, it'll get extremely boring. You'd be better off to put that $1,000 or maybe in less than that 500 to get like a 50K prop trading account on Breakout or whatever. That's what I would say. Realistic as a beginner. To get a 10% return, maybe. It depends. You know, it depends how you define beginner. It depends how you define your experience. I mean, you know, I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know how you trade. I don't know. Do you follow? You know, there's so many variables. It's very hard for me to say. But yeah, like I mentioned, for pretty much everything, I would say the weekly trigger or weekly bull div that probably will form on some of these relatively soon. I mean, ETH has just been, obliterated. Obliterated. Maybe that's why it's finally coming up a teeny bit against Bitcoin here. Obliterated. It's just dead as a doornail. But yeah. Anyway, guys, I think I'm probably going to wrap it up. There just ain't too much more to talk about at the moment. The other thing, too, is I just want to let oils should be coming down, right? Yeah, crypto oils are coming down. Kind of. And then yields are coming down, not as much as we would like, but I think they will continue forward, down more, you know. This chart's delayed, but 30-year mortgage chart. Come on, 6.6. I think it's actually a little bit lower right now. But once that breaks, then you're kind of looking at, you know, probably 6.2, which really, I think once you get to high fives, that'll send the real estate market up. When could you hit there? April, yeah, maybe April, May, in anticipation of quantitative tightening finally ending. I mean, it's kind of crazy. You did get down to 6, maybe even, it is for a few days though, but yeah, that's September. So, have to get down there and then, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get going. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Have a good one. And yeah, last thing, 10% off your fees for life on BidFi and BloFin links are down below. If you sent to either of those exchanges, deposit at least $100, give you one free month in the Aldo Empire VIP Discord.